Hi there, it's Marva Riley. I was thinking about retirement. So many people will never be able to retire, especially here in the United States. With housing being as expensive as it is, rent, mortgage. So many people approach retirement unprepared. $65, $70, $75, $80 with mortgages or rent, high rent. The cost for rent is going up every day. And the cost for housing is going up every day. So folks' mortgage goes up every day. Tax goes up every year. Insurance is always going up. Housing is the top cost, the highest cost that we incur in the United States and probably most of the world. I'm not too sure. And then many folks also approach or go into retirement with a car payment. And I don't know if you know, the prices of cars vehicle, car, truck, or whatever has gone up exponentially in the last, well, they say since COVID, just hasn't come down. And then you think about the price of food. My God, another COVID excuse. They raised the price during or after COVID. It just has not gone down. Price of food is so high. What else? Utility bills, light, water, gas. Everything is so expensive, yet the paycheck isn't going up. And if you get a retirement check, Social Security, 401k, that's not going up, or it might go up by a couple dollars. Not enough to suffice. So one has to really plan ahead. That's the key. And I know for me and my husband, what we did actually was to move away from expensive South Florida. And we moved to Georgia, a small city in Georgia where the price of housing was probably a quarter of the price in South Florida. And we've had our old cars. I drive a 2011 car, and his truck is, I think, 1986 or something like that. An old Ford truck. You know those trucks, those Ford trucks. They're built to last. And we don't have credit card debt, so we have no car payment. And fortunately, we were able to get a house on this beautiful land, 1 acre of land, a nice house, nice size house with central air and everything, for pretty cheap when we moved to Georgia. And we didn't have to get into mortgage, debt, and rent. And, he is close to 70, and I'll be 62 this year, so we certainly don't want any debt. We want to live debt-free, and that's the main reason why we came here to Georgia. So yes, housing in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, those states, the housing is a lot cheaper than, say, Florida and even up north in Maryland and New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, those places. It's a lot cheaper to live here in the South. So if you're thinking of and planning retirement in the near future, or in the future, consider the South. South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Virginia. The real estate here, a lot cheaper. It's a lot cheaper to even rent if you had to rent. I mean, We know of people that are paying $600 a month for a house, like a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, or 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. Decent, good neighborhood. So if one doesn't have to have a job, you're retired, you're living on a fixed income, yeah, consider moving to one of these small cities where your dollar will stretch more. And if you have to work, they also have little jobs in these small cities that one can do: supermarket, gas station, even sometimes government agencies are hiring. The city, the courthouse are hiring because people retire. So there are options, but it's so much cheaper to live in the South than up north. Like I said, in New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, even California, South Florida, where we're from. It is so much cheaper to live in these areas. So these are some of the things you have to think about as you get older. Really, you shouldn't wait until you're in your 60s to think about retirement, because the thing is that Social Security was really not intended for us to live on. It's a supplement. So one has to make sure that one has other plans in place, like what am I going to do with this mortgage? Am I going to sell and move somewhere else? Some people move to Jamaica, some move to Haiti, some move to Mexico, some move to Colombia, some move to Philippines, India, wherever. People do move to other countries and other states where it's cheaper. Okay, so I was saying that a call came in, so I got disconnected. I was saying that you really can't wait until close to retirement age to start thinking about retirement. You got to think about retirement now. You can't be too young to think about retirement and put some things in place, because Social Security was not designed for us to live on. Social Security is a supplement. So, and if you have 401k, for example, even if you put in 30 years on your job and you had 401k, you put 6% in, you might have $200,000. It really isn't anything if you live, depending on where you live. If you live in South Florida like we did, for example, that can't even buy an apartment, let alone a condo, or let alone a house. And but in Georgia, if you had $200,000 and it's just you and your spouse, or you alone, you could actually get a house in Georgia in a very decent neighborhood for well under $200,000, because we did, and we live in houses actually, almost 2,000 square feet on an acre land, and for a fraction of that $200,000. So you got to think about it. Your housing, pay off your car. So if when you approach or when you get to retirement, it would be better not to have a housing cost like a rent or mortgage if you could own. But if you have to rent, the rent should be cheap. And unless, of course, you're making a ton of money, which most people aren't. And your car should be paid off. And for sure, you should not have go into retirement with credit card debt. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So the idea is to pay off your debt and go into retirement debt-free. And it is 100% possible, because like I said, me and my honey did it. We did it 7 years ago when we moved to Georgia. Best move that we've made. And best move that we've made. And we're happy we're not stressed out because we don't have big debt. You know what I mean? I just wanted to pass that on, because today, one of my friends was telling me about their parents are in their 80s and lives up north, and they're in their 80s, can barely walk, live in a 3-story house, and they can't pay the mortgage, barely pay the mortgage. So something like that, if I had the opportunity to counsel them, I would say sell that house, get the money, and move down south and buy a small house. It's just for both of you, a small 1-level house, because they have trouble walking. And at least it's with 1 level, you're not going up and down stairs. And and you wouldn't have a house debt. Hopefully they don't have a car debt, and hopefully they don't have a credit card debt. Just wanted to pass it on to you. I hope that was helpful. What are you doing to plan for your retirement, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, whatever age you are? What strategies have you put in place to set things in motion so that you will be okay for retirement? I hope that was helpful to you. All right, this is Marva Riley. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, and share with anyone that you think could benefit from this tip and information. All right, take care.